Hello everyone, welcome to this video where I am going to explore your subconscious mind so that you can discover what it means to dream of a beautiful woman. An ideal of beauty, an object of desire, and therefore someone who exerts an absolute attraction on you. With which we can already infer that this dream speaks about the loss of control that your rationality is experiencing. That in practice explains all the frustration processes that are being generated in your psyche and that need to be released. But before going into the analysis, in case you don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Robert. I am a psychoanalyst with more than 30 years of experience. And in case you want to have a psychoanalysis session with me, or in case you want the psychoanalysis of one of your dreams, just send me an email to the one that I am going to leave you here below in the description of this video, so I can tell you how you can join my consultation. Now, back to what it means to dream of a beautiful woman. This is a very important dream because from the outset, it is revealing that you are going through a phase of your life where you feel that your emotions, and especially your desires, are occupying too predominant a place in making your decisions. Although, as always, I will clarify that this is not something of the present, but rather a process that has been developing since your childhood. It is a complex that has been generated in your unconscious and that is now struggling to get out. In fact, this dream reveals that you are a person who tends to fall very easily into the manipulations of some women, but especially of people who show the greatest concern for you. Not necessarily because they care, but because they want to get something from you. But this is something you hardly ever realized, or you only do it when it's too late. Because somehow, these people appeal to your most affectionate side, which is precisely that part that you cannot control, because it has to do with your need to feel love for people whom you think are more valuable than you. And therein lies the core of this whole thing. You tend to value others over your own person. It is not something you are aware of, but I am sure that throughout your life, you have always fallen in love with women who had that quality. The fact of standing out too much from the point of view of their physical attractiveness. And this happens because somehow you felt that if you had a beautiful girlfriend, you were going to obtain the social value that you thought you could not achieve on your own. And that leads me to immediately ask you a question. Why you don't feel like someone valuable? As you can see, all these are processes of your unconscious. Now, the mental structure that I am talking about does not apply only to the field of women that you may like, but also relates to all the people with whom you interact. You will generally choose who to associate with based on whether they are people who will allow you to feel more valuable. For this reason, people who dream of beautiful women usually do so because deep down they cannot control their emotional part. That explains, for example, because in reality there are people who tend to fall in love very easily with certain types of women and even go so far as to harass them. I am not saying that you are a stalker, but the dream is a reflection of how you feel. It becomes the dark part of your psyche that even you don't want to admit to yourself. So, if you think about it, you will realize that you always liked certain types of women and you had a hard time talking to them because you used to put them on a pedestal. And this happened because your own mind led you to think that they or anyone else was better than you. That is the complex that this dream is revealing. And there is the word of all your anguish, anxiety, frustration, or sadness process. That is any of the symptoms expressed by this complex. Every time you feel worthless, you will try to fill that void through a person whom you perceive as better than you are. Here, I am focusing on romantic relationships, but since I have told you this, you apply it to all aspects of your life. You need to validate yourself through others, and this reflects that your emotionality far exceeds your rationality. And therefore, that is the energy of your psyche that you need to release, redirect, and interconnect to your conscious mind so that you don't continue to fall into the states of frustration generated by the fact of feeling so little. That is why this dream shows immediately that all your fears processes arises from the fact that you feel that you can never think about things clearly. At the end of the day, always your emotions, your attractive part, is the one that ends up winning you. In any case, this is not a bad per se. This goes to show that you are a very good person. But the problem is that there are others who take advantage of that quality that is so yours. In fact, you are probably wondering if this is so since you perceive yourself as someone very serious, rational, even cold. But this has nothing to do with the conscious aspect. Even if you are the coldest person in the world, this simply becomes a mask that hides your true self, the one who needs to feel value through the affections of others, and in particular through the affections of those who are better than you, who you perceive as better. Now, why don't you realize that? Because it is a process that occurs in your unconscious that you cannot control, but that has many consequences in your current life. That is why it is so important to psychoanalyze dreams, because they allow us to access a remnant of your unconscious to be able to diagnose what is happening with you, and on that basis, achieve that you can free yourself from these energies of your psyche that are controlling you. Now, why does all this happen? Well, the fact that you have this dream reveals that you most certainly lived in an environment in which affections were only given based on the achievement of certain trophies. Deep down, you are the type of child whose parents only paid attention to when you achieved certain triumphs that were demonstrated in a concrete way. In other words, you had to constantly and materially demonstrate your value. You weren't the person they were going to love just because. You had to get the big grade in college, the great college career, or the great girlfriend. But the problem is that that mental structure that was generated in your childhood, now that you have become an adult, no longer works for you. And that is why you have entered all these processes of anguish, anxiety, or frustration. You might not even want to acknowledge it, but the dream is clearly showing that this is happening to you. In practice, you were the abandoned child unless you came home with something that showed who you were. And that's why you lived all your youth trying to prove your worth to other people. What has now come into conflict because when you were a kid, you needed that structure to survive. But now that you have greater criteria, you need to develop that part of your psyche that was repressed for many years, so that you can live in a balanced state again. Because unless you work on it, all your conflicts will arise from your uncontrollable need to demonstrate to others your value as a person. As you can see, this is a much more complex dream than it might seem. So you have to pay close attention in case you see a very beautiful woman in a dream. For the same reason, you already know that if you want me to psychoanalyze some of your dreams or have therapy sessions with me, just send me an email to the one that I leave you below so that I can tell you the way in which you can integrate to my consultation. And please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video if it helped you in any way, and share it so that others can access to this kind of knowledge. Have a wonderful day, and with it, the most beautiful dreams. Bye!